Hey, Kadagi to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You're listening to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Strong Hearts Native Helpline. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Join Strong Hearts Native Helpline CEO Lori Jump for a virtual event, Let's Talk Empowerment, at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on October 17, 2023. Join us for a special online event featuring Lori Jump, CEO of Strong Hearts Native Helpline, as she leads an engaging and enlightening conversation on the pressuring issue of domestic and sexual violence within Native communities. This event will delve into the crucial intersection between these forms of violence and the significance of culturally specific services and resources. Strong Hearts Native Helpline, free, confidential, anonymous, 24/7. Call or text 1-844-762-8483. That's 1-844-7-NATIVE, or chat online at www.strongheartsnativehelpline.org.
Wow, what a great organization, and it sounds like a cool event coming up there. We've had them on the show, and it's funny, we all started around 7 years ago, and their growth has been unbelievable. They're 24/7 now. They're all over the country, and also the interactive stuff is just amazing, because one of the things, too, we talked about was that they sometimes it's hard to come forward and around your own people because everyone's so connected and related. So that was some really good points. Reach out to them if you need help. Hey, we're here. It is Friday, and we're here with State Senator Mary Kunesh, and a lot going on and a lot happening. And it's always our pleasure to have the state senator on Fridays to talk a little bit about her journey, but her journey that really has a lot to do with our state's journey. So, State Senator, thank you so much for coming on.
Matakiape, everybody. It's really good to be here with you, Haley and Robert, on, well, the sun's finally coming out. It's been a kind of a cold, drizzly day after we just had record highs. It's now in the 50s. But I see the sun is finally coming out, and we might just end up with a lovely afternoon.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, I want to give you a congratulations. Rumor has it you won an award. Can you talk to our audience here? I know you're very humble, but I wanted to bring that up and kind of surprise you with it. You had a pretty prestigious award. Can you tell our audience what that was?
Well, as you know, I was a library media specialist for about 20 years. Before and during my legislative times. And, one of the things that when I ran for office and was elected is that I really wanted to address the lack of support, and especially financial support, for our school libraries and our public libraries too. And so this year I was able to wrangle some money for our libraries across Minnesota. I was able to add $4 million increase into our regional library, just the basic system. We increased funding to our Minnesota multi-county, multi-type library system, and then added, we added legacy funding for our regional public schools of 2.75. And then getting back to the schools, and I just felt it was really important that we continue to elevate the role and the value of having a licensed library media specialist in a school. And so we allocated $23 million in new funding to our school libraries, and then we set aside $1 million in one-time grants for those that are studying to be or will become a library media specialist. And because of those kind of investments, I've just been hearing wonderful stories across Minnesota, what a difference it makes. But as to the award, the Minnesota Library Association awarded me, I'm honored as a champion of the library across Minnesota. And it's just a really exciting thing to be recognized by my peers and recognize the fact that, those dollars that we're putting in there are going to make a real big difference. And the award is called the Above and Beyond Award. And I think we've gone above and beyond what has been invested in our libraries for the lack of it for decades and decades. And so I hope to continue being able to support our libraries and our library media specialists, because when we look at reading and literacy, it's not just about books, it's about technology, it's about being able to choose reading and learn to read for enjoyment as well as for learning. And those are some of the things that our library media specialists do. So I was very, very honored for that award.
Well, we're going to give you some applause here. I don't know if you can hear it. Yay. But also, too, it's really exciting that bills are being passed by people that are boots on the ground, that have been experienced, in what schools specifically. And so that's awesome. It makes sense. A lot of times, I heard nationally, on another radio show that they're sending all these like rifles and machine guns to Ukraine, but they aren't giving them things to clean it with, to fix it, repair it with, or scopes. Yeah. So once you get people on the ground that really know what they need, is when really a true change and support happens. So congratulations, and congratulations to your people to realize that that's big.
Yeah, it was fabulous walking into a ballroom full of my people, like major goosebumps. And there were a lot of the folks that I worked with or that I, associate with, trying to advocate for our libraries and that sort of thing across the state. So I was just thrilled.
That's awesome. Congratulations. Hey, we only got like 3 minutes left here, so we might have to talk a little bit more about this in the next segment too. But I know we always ask you what you're doing, what's happening, but it sounds like you've been on a tour of schools, and I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, I'll start us off. So as the chair of education finance in the Minnesota Senate, we are responsible for allocating the dollars that go to our school districts. And we had a surplus to use, but we also had, the regular funding that goes into our schools. So we were able to really invest an extraordinary amount of money into our schools. I think $5.3 billion into it. And for a first-time chair of a Senate committee, that was really daunting in the beginning. But then when you look at the list and the expectations across our state for where those monies and those dollars should go, it was, again, not enough, just not enough. But so what we decided to do this summer, State Senator Steve Swedzinski is the chair of education policy. Mm-hmm. So he and I talked about going around the state and visiting with schools and talking with the kids, talking with the teachers, talking to the admin. Just like you were saying, it's those people, those boots on the ground people that really know the lowdown of everything. And so this week we spent 2 full days traveling first around the Twin Cities, and then the second day down to southern Minnesota. And maybe when we come back, if you want to keep talking about it, I'll tell you a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, we got another minute, but that's exciting. It's hard for your job to be doing all this traveling, but it's also very gratifying, I imagine, too, to see your support and what you are supporting too. So that's really interesting. Hey, we're with State Senator Mary Kunesh, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake.
Stay with us.
When we heal from our traumas,
when we face our fears,
let go of our addictions,
when we relearn our values,
when we live our teachings,
respecting our elders,
cherishing and honoring our children,
when we honor and take care of our spirit,
there will be no room left for sexual violence.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
J&S Bean Factory is a native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Back to school season is here. And while this is an exciting time for parents, kids, and educators, let's not forget how far we've come in our battle against COVID-19. We're in a better place, but COVID-19 is still here, and we need to continue to help protect our communities. With the flurry of new schedules and classrooms, let's not overlook the fundamentals of staying safe. Wash your hands regularly and watch for any symptoms like fever, chills, a cough, or shortness of breath. Should you or someone you know have COVID-19 symptoms, stay home and get tested. Find more tips on continuing to be safe at health.state.mn.us. Let's have this back-to-school season be a time of renewed commitment to our collective health and brighter future for our Native communities. Again, find more tips on continuing to be safe at health.state.mn.us.
This message is brought to you in partnership with the Minnesota Department of Health.
You work hard for every cent you make. You have bills and you have goals. Choose a bank that's going to support you along the way. That's Fair Financial Banking. No overdraft fees, no minimum balance. No credit score required. Call 651-262-2173 to talk to a Fair Financial enroller to open your account today. Keep more of your money. That's fair. Fairfinancial.org. FAIR is a program of Prepare Plus Prosper, a nonprofit organization and is not a bank. Banking services are provided by Sunrise Banks N.A., member FDIC.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States.
And 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected.
Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf.
Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy.
As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired.
Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl. Howl!
Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake.
This portion of the show is supported by Native American Community Clinic on Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis, honoring health and tradition.
Yes, I do. And speaking of health and tradition, we have State Senator Mary Kunesh on here, and we're talking a little bit from the last segment about her tour of schools and some interesting things that have happened and where she's been. So again, State Senator, thanks for coming back on.
Sure. We're talking about the tour that Senator Swedzinski and I are taking around the state to visit as many different schools as we can. And so this week we went out on Tuesday and headed just in the area of Eden Prairie. So we went to Eden Prairie High School, which is huge. It's a huge building. And honestly, it feels like you're almost in a college campus. The programs that they have to offer are extraordinary. And, you know, they're wealthy. They're a very financially sufficient school district. And so they don't have necessarily the struggles that a lot of the other schools in our districts have. But we sat in there and watched an elective course around it's aviation, but it's like figuring out the airspace around airports, and how there's a online a website that you can go to, and you can look up and see where really anywhere in the country something's happening because of the restrictions around the airlines. So there are kids that by the time they finish their courses might have a small airplane licensure or something like that. So that was pretty extraordinary. And then we went into a independent school district. It's a cooperative, and this was a unique school because it's where a lot of different school districts come together and support a school that is working with the kids that struggle the most and probably have some severe behavior issues around all of those things. And I think a lot of it has to do, of course, with homelessness, with transiency, with just the lack of resources in the family. And so we got to hear from some pretty extraordinary kids that are bent on turning themselves around and getting their degree, not just a GED, but getting their degree and learning some of the coping mechanisms that it takes to really work out in the real world. So that was pretty great. And then we visited the Perpich School of Arts. Are you familiar with that, Robert?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, this is a really unique school because it's a school specifically and only for the arts. It actually has boarding school capabilities. So any kid from Minnesota can attend that school and have the choice to live in the rooms, the dorms. But then when they took us around and saw all the incredible work that these students are doing with visual arts, with graphic arts, with music, it was really, really neat. And there are a lot of people that think that it is an unnecessary school, that we shouldn't be using our dollars that in that way. But they also provide extraordinary resources, professional development and professional programming for any of the teachers in the state. So there's lots there. And I hadn't visited that school for a long time, but I'm glad we did.
How old do you have to be to go to that school? Is that K through 12 or?
Nope, it's just for 11 and 12 graders.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's a really good question. And also one of the things that I always try to remind people too is that, music, for instance, is another language you're learning. That's something you can take with you all your life, and we should be educating people to think outside the box. Where are our next great artists coming from? We don't want to stifle them. We want to help them grow, and so I think that's a really important way about teaching people in that school specifically.
Yeah, and I mean, just like we have other specialty schools, these schools are important to those students. And they have to meet the same rigorous academic standards and meet all the same testing regulations that every other school does. And I think it's worth the investment when there are there's such a focus on testing, on reading and math and science, and we forget about the arts and how important that is to individuals. So I was really glad that we stopped there.
Right. They're all connected too. And, arts and science and critical thinking, they're connected. And also I really like the fact that the school, there's critical thinking going on all the way. And I mean, testing to the test has been a thing that I think, as as an educator, we've been fighting for many years, because what are you really teaching them?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Haley. Sorry, I cut you off.
Oh, no, you're okay. I was just going to say Earth without art is just if you spell it that way. So
very clever. Thank
That's
you,
a
Jen.
good one.
Thank you, Gen Z. Thank you, Gen Z.
And then yesterday we headed south. We drove down to Red Wing, and there's a beautiful mural that just was presented to the community. And it's just before you take you're going down 61, and just before you take left onto the bridge to go to Wisconsin, there's this beautiful mural. I'm sure it's of Chief Red Wing and a teepee village with this huge Tatanka buffalo. And it's just a really lovely, lovely mural. So we stopped to see that on our way down to the Red Wing boys' school. There's a boys' school for incarcerated youth and some adult men. And we went to learn about how they are educating those boys and helping them learn and get the tools to live out in the general public again. And again, the stories that we heard, we saw those boys working so hard. The staff is incredible. And that school has been around for a long, long time, because I remember my dad back in the 60s, maybe early 70s, he was a probation on the probation team or whatever it was for the boys' school, and he'd have to go down there every so often and listen and decide, make that decision to put a boy on probation, or if he needed a little bit more time. But it really felt really safe there, and like the boys were they were comfortable there. I you hate to say they're comfortable when they're incarcerated.
Wow.
But like one of the folks there, the staff members said, this is, for them, this is really safe. This is, they've got a place to sleep. It's warm, it's cool, food, but it's also, they don't have to be on guard all the time. And some of them come from very, very violent communities. And in this instance, they can let their guard down. They can be who they are, and then catch up on their education. It was amazing how they were saying so many of the boys excelled academically because, again, they were in a safe place with adults that cared and were there to help them 24/7. And the amount of progress they make in their education is just phenomenal. So that was another really good place to stop.
How many learners are in that facility?
I think at this point, at this time, it was, I might have it right here with me, but I would say maybe around 160 boys there.
Relatively small, but that's good. That's very good.
Yeah, they have cottages, and there's the maximum is 16 to a cottage. It's beautiful campus, just off of Highway 61 in Red Wing, and there's a lot of good things there. Again, they help the kids get ready for college and let them, know that college certainly is an option, not just going into the trades. But they also have programs to help them learn some of the trades, and then they're able to work outside of the facility under the mentorship of trained tradesmen. So they really are trying to get as many tools in the toolbox, let's say, to get these kids into a successful life coming out of the reformatory.
Well, we know that's important, and we just met with Bobby Wilson, and we're going to have him on next week, Reservation Dogs. But he went through a similar situation and really caught on to art. I didn't really realize Bobby was such a big mural artist and where that came from, but it was somewhat come from being incarcerated and really having a stable place. So you just never know, and you got to be, I know as being a former teacher, a lot of people, including myself, were late bloomers. So that's awesome. Hey, we're here with State Senator Mary Kunesh, and we'll be right back after this short message. I heard sex trafficking happens a lot in Indian country. What is that?
Here are some of the real reasons why sex trafficking happens in Indian country. Unequal gender roles that were forced on us by colonization. Communities don't have enough resources. Silence around domestic and sexual violence. Lack of attention and justice for missing and murdered Indigenous people. There's a lot of behavior that keeps our communities out of balance. These are just a few true reasons why Native communities are targeted by traffickers. When these acts of violence happen in our communities, it opens us all up for exploitation.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States.
And 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected.
Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf.
Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy.
As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired.
Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Minnesotans age 65 plus might qualify for Health Partners Minnesota Senior Health Options. The plan includes personal support, coverage for medical, prescription drugs, and dental, plus over 30 extra benefits. Eligibility information is available at healthpartners.com/oneplan. Health Partners is a health plan that contracts with both Medicare and the Minnesota Medical Assistance Medicaid program to provide benefits of both programs to enrollees. Enrollment in Health Partners depends on contract renewal.
You work hard for every cent you make. You have bills and you have goals. Choose a bank that's going to support you along the way. That's Fair Financial Banking. No overdraft fees, no minimum balance. No credit score required. Call 651-262-2173 to talk to a Fair Financial enroller to open your account today. Keep more of your money. That's fair. Fairfinancial.org. Fair is a program of Prepare Plus Prosper, a nonprofit organization, and is not a bank. Banking services are provided by Sunrise Banks N.A., member FDIC.
Be a vaccinative. It's time to come together and talk about the urgent need to stay up to date on COVID-19 vaccinations to protect our heritage, our loved ones, and our future. Throughout history, we have always faced challenges, and today we must protect our culture and loved ones. This is our opportunity to ensure that our tribal gatherings once again resound with joy and celebration, where the echoes of our ancestors guide our steps. It's a chance to care for our elders, cherishing their wisdom and stories for generations to come. COVID-19 vaccines are safe and effective. Let us unite, resilient as ever, and show the world the strength of the Native American community. Together, we shape a future where our traditions thrive, our children learn from our ancestors, and our people flourish once more. So be a vaccinative and learn more about staying up to date with your COVID vaccinations at health.state.mn.us. That's health.state.mn.us. This message is brought to you in partnership with the Minnesota Department of Health.
Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
They do great work all over Turtle Island, and I say this every time, what a great partnership we've had with them over the years, and it's always great to hear Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition name. Hey, we're here with State Senator Mary Kunesh, and it's our Fun Friday, and we're talking a lot about a lot of different things, but I think we should wind it up here, seeing that it's Friday, and talk a little bit about Indigenous Peoples Day, which is coming up, State Senator.
Yeah, that is, of course, nationally on Monday. And I think this year is going to be even better because we passed, again, legislation that made a difference for our Native communities. So this year, Representative Keeler and I worked on a bill together that recognizes Indigenous Peoples Day as a state recognized holiday for the very first time ever. I mean, I think it was very optional, and across the state, employees and schools and those sort of things, had a choice around it. But for the first time ever, Minnesota is going to observe Monday as a state recognized holidays. If schools are going to be open, they are obliged to devote at least 1 hour to informing students about its significance. And I know you and I have a whole list of activities that are going on around the Twin Cities, starting with the annual sunrise ceremony at Bde Makaska, which I always look forward to. It's such a moving ceremony as the sun comes up over that beautiful, beautiful lake.
Mm-hmm.
And every year there's more and more people that are gathering, Native and non-Native community members, allies, joining to welcome the sun in a good way on that very special day.
Absolutely. You know what I like too, State Senator? I know I see you there every year and I love going there too, is that we have a lot of representation that are just there to experience it. Do you know what I mean? They're kind of incognito, which is awesome. And I mean, people mention them, but I know like Ilham was there last couple of years. And so there's people out there supporting Indigenous Peoples Day in their in a good way, really. Us.
Yeah. And then from there, it just goes on to more and more lovely events. I think you've got a bunch posted on your Facebook page.
Yeah.
I know Little Earth tomorrow. So Little Earth Minnesota is doing a coat giveaway tomorrow. So that'll be Saturday, October 7th. And they're giving away Carhartt jackets. So really, really great warm jackets to get through this next winter season. So they're giving away these jackets for grades K through 8. And it's first come, first serve. And lunch will be provided for Little Earth residents. And this will be at 2501 Cedar Avenue Gym tomorrow at 11 a.m. to 2.
Hey, do you mind, State Senator, do you mind bringing up to our people that are listening across Turtle Island what Little Earth community is? Your knowledge of this community that's, I think, the first of its kind across the country. That American Indian movement had a lot to do with in getting built. So there's a lot of things happen there. A lot of urban Indians live there from all different tribes, and I wish I was young enough to go get one of those jackets too.
I know. Oh, so Little Earth is a really unique community. I think it spans over 9 acres, and there are 200 plus housing units that are subsidized through HUD. And it's located right in the industrial core of Minneapolis. And it was originally developed, I think, back in the 70s.
Right.
And if I'm not mistaken, it's the only Indigenous preferred project that takes Section 8 rental assistance in the United States.
Wow.
In the whole United States. And so it's a really unique opportunity for our urban Indians to come together quite often. I mean, not just for housing, but for events across the urban core. And you might know a little more of this because you're more active in AIM. But when there was the Relocation Act, mostly in the 60s, when the federal government realized it's really very expensive to keep these Indians on reservations and to provide all the things that they had promised as part of the treaties and the agreements. And so they tried to get them to move to the urban cores because they could, number one, they needed more people to work. They needed workers. So they thought, perfect, let's bring these Indians to the work that needs to be done. So they entice them to come to big hubs like Chicago and Detroit and Minneapolis and
LA too, I heard.
Yep. Because of the air programs, the manufacturers out there. And so pulling all these natives and enticing them off the reservation, saying, we'll provide housing, we'll provide food, we'll provide school, we'll provide blah, blah, blah. And of course, that never really happened as usual. So now we have all these Native folks that came in off the reservation that were not savvy, that didn't have the housing that were promised, and again, disconnected them from their communities and their culture.
Mhm.
And a lot of our Native folks ended up down in that Franklin Avenue area, which is now has the American Indian Center and a lot of the resources for our tribal members.
Mhm.
And of course, housing was necessary. And I think that's sort of roundabout how Little Earth came to be.
Absolutely, and I think you're right. You were saying American Indian movement had a lot to do with the Native corridor down there, including Little Earth, and the late great, my buddy Clyde Belcourt, and then his brother too, and the whole organization was really pushing hard back in the day. And the whole corridor is transforming again. And you mentioned the Indian Center, and that's being rebuilt and thought for. I guess that hasn't been touched since the late 70s, early 80s. So that's exciting too. We got to I got to mention this, and Haley and I have to mention this, is that on Friday and Saturday, Brooke LaFleur has a basketball tournament at Harding High School that we're supporting here at Native Roots Radio, and we're going to stop in and say hello. And building community, like with basketball, whether it's skateboarding or dancing or sewing or whatever, however you build community, I think, Mary, is what here at Native Roots Radio, and I know you are all about.
Yeah, community is everything,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you are a unique community, like being of Native descent or African American or Somali or Hmong, or all the different beautiful cultures that we have here. When you're looking for that safety and the security of home, finding your community, the people that share the same values and the same food, the same music, the same dance, oftentimes the same perspective on most things. That's when you have that sense of being, that sense of belonging, and that safety of who you are.
Absolutely. I just want to let everyone know too, listening, it's at Harding High School, 1540 East 6th Street in St. Paul. Check it out if you're in the area. It's open to everyone. It's free. And just seeing our young ones, I went to it last year, and just the things that you learn by being a team, whether it's a drum line, whether it's a color guard, whether it's basketball, baseball, you're in a community, and to be taught in a good way. And what a bunch of respectful young people that were in this tournament. And I was really excited to see that.
Right.
Monday and from 10 to 2, there's also something happening. We're doing a live shoot for Native American, and that's at 10 to 2 p.m. and that's Indigenous Peoples Day. Trickster Tacos will be there, which I always want to give a shout out to them, because the owner and his wife, the owner was a student of mine at Harding High School, and he's been just blowing up with Trickster Tacos. And
They'll be at the basketball expo as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez. They're everywhere. That's great. But they're going to be at AOIC for that. I think Steve, the Secretary of State, is going to be there, giving them a Native American Community Development Institute an award, because of make voting a tradition has been so successful, and signing up Native Americans that have not ever voted before. So there's a whole bunch of things going on, Mary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it goes on. I mean, my day is so full, and there are a lot of folks out there that want to learn more about the work that's being done, and about how our Indigenous communities are what are their struggles, but what are their successes also. And so I'm going to be doing Zoom kind of informational little mini conference with employees from Excel Energy, around, well, the title of it is How the U.S. Did the Indians Wrong. And it'll follow, it's kind of a review of all the different eras, just like I was talking about relocation era and all of those other things. People are hungry for knowledge around our issues. And this is one day that there's a lot of entities that are looking for that information. And so, yeah, it'll be a full day.
Wow, great. Well, we'll looking forward to your report on that and the other schools that you're dropping in on. So really exciting. And thank you, State Senator Mary Kunesh, for stopping in as usual and really filling us in and having a really good radio show every time. And again, thank you so much for spending time with us. It's very important, and I appreciate it. You're a very busy person. Hey, you're listening to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and we'll be right back after this short break.
Stay with us.
When we heal from our traumas,
When we face our fears.
let go of our addictions,
When we relearn our values.
when we live our teachings,
Respecting our elders.
cherishing and honoring our children,
When we honor and take care of our spirit.
there will be no room left for sexual violence.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
J&S Bean Factory is a native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Back to school season is here. And while this is an exciting time for parents, kids, and educators, let's not forget how far we've come in our battle against COVID-19. We're in a better place, but COVID-19 is still here, and we need to continue to help protect our communities. With the flurry of new schedules and classrooms, let's not overlook the fundamentals of staying safe. Wash your hands regularly and watch for any symptoms like fever, chills, a cough, or shortness of breath. Should you or someone you know have COVID-19 symptoms, stay home and get tested. Find more tips on continuing to be safe at health.state.mn.us. Let's have this back-to-school season be a time of renewed commitment to our collective health and brighter future for our Native communities. Again, find more tips on continuing to be safe at health.state.mn.us.
This message is brought to you in partnership with the Minnesota Department of Health.
You work hard for every cent you make. You have bills and you have goals. Choose a bank that's going to support you along the way. That's Fair Financial Banking. No overdraft fees, no minimum balance. No credit score required. Call 651-262-2173 to talk to a Fair Financial enroller to open your account today. Keep more of your money. That's fair. FairFinancial.org. FAIR is a program of Prepare Plus Prosper, a nonprofit organization and is not a bank. Banking services are provided by Sunrise Banks N.A., member FDIC.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States.
And 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected.
Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf.
Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy.
As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired.
Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl. Howl!
Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake.
This portion of the show is supported by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
Yes, I wanted to put a little applause on that and didn't come out right. Hey, it's Fun Fact Friday with Wendy, and I know yesterday I wanted you to do the fun facts, but today is Fun Fact Friday. So welcome, Wendy, and please introduce yourself to our listening audience and watching audience.
Yes, absolutely. Hey, everybody. My name is Hanaji Hihani. That means cares for them. I was given that name by my Dega Curtis. Curtis goes by Mashke Hanajingo, which means walks on white clouds. I'm a humane policy volunteer leader for the Humane Society of the United States, and I work on animal issues at the local and state level. And yes, today is Fun Fact Friday. So I've been picking off this list of 300 random animal facts, and we started from 300 and we're working our way to number 1.
And then what happens? We just start all over?
I guess we'll start all over because everybody will forget all the fun facts, right?
Look, where did I hear that before?
I know. Sometimes I say it and I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't remember if I just read that or if I said it on the air. So I'm sure I repeat myself a lot. But
I say that sometimes when I'm dreaming.
Right.
Go ahead.
I know. All right, we're going to start on 97 and work our way to number 1. The longest recorded lifespan of a slug was 1 year and 6 months.
Wow.
How do you suppose that they, found that out?
I don't know. I just got the drum.
I don't know. I think that they make this up. Some of them I skip. Some of them I skip because I don't like them. So.
Oh.
I'm using my own discretion here.
So it's really like 240.
It could be, or maybe less. No two tigers have the same stripes, and this is how individual tigers can be identified. It's like a fingerprint.
Wow.
Yeah. Chocolate, macadamia nuts, cooked onions, or anything with caffeine is harmful to dogs. I think I've mentioned that before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good to bring that up.
Yeah, it is. And you should always look up something if you want to give your dog something. Just look it up and make sure it's safe because they can't metabolize food the same way we do.
Right. Don't try.
Fireflies do not bite or have pinchers. Fireflies are harmless. They don't even carry diseases.
And they don't really spark fire per se. That's not a spark when you see fireflies. That's some kind of
electricity. We share 98.4% of our DNA with a chimp.
Well, that was before the aliens came and oh, never mind. That's a different show.
We share 70% of our DNA with a slug.
I know you do.
The fear of animals is called, do you have any idea, Robert?
No.
Okay. It's called, if you're afraid of animals, it's called zoophobia. So you're afraid to go to the zoo and you have phobia. And I just learned this pretty recently. Dogs have sweat glands in between their paws. That's so if they're really, really hot and they're sweating, then the first thing people normally want to do is take a wet paper towel or water and dump it on their back. But that could have the opposite effect and constrict their blood vessels and cause more harm than good. So you want to wrap their paws in wet paper towels and put the dog in the shade and give it lukewarm water to drink.
That's good to know because I think
and here's another one that I just remembered off the top of my head. If one dog is attacking another dog,
ooh.
The dog that's attacking.
This just went dark.
The dog that's attacking, you lift up their back feet and they'll stop because they can't attack if their back feet are off the ground.
Kind of the wagon wheel
Like
we did as kids.
Wheelbarrow.
When we were kids.
Definitely. So you could do that too. Mm-hmm. Goats were the first animals domesticated by man in 10,000 BC.
So they were pets or?
I guess so.
Wow.
Killer whales are not whales at all, rather a species of dolphin.
Do they kill?
That's an orca. A killer whale is an orca.
Oh.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's news to me. I'd have to look that up. I'm not sure it's number 87. I think they're lying about that one.
Okay.
We'll see.
So this segment is kind of Fun Facts Friday.
And maybe some lies too. The most poisonous fish in the world is the stonefish.
I believe it.
I don't even know.
I've seen those. They look like they have acne.
Yeah. The phrase raining cats and dogs originated in the 17th century England. During heavy rainstorms, many homeless animals would drown and float down the streets.
What?
giving the
Wait,
appearance.
do you read these first?
That it had, well, I obviously didn't read that one.
I don't know if I want to hear this. It got dark again. The
It
radio
did
show.
during the so they drowned and they floated down the streets, giving the appearance that it had actually rained cats and dogs. That's a sad one.
Can you cross that one
That's
out?
really not a fun fact.
No,
Seriously.
I don't think that's a fact.
This
at all.
website, I don't know. On the average, cows poop 16 times a day.
That's about right where I'm at too.
hmm The most dogs ever owned by one person were 5,000
What?
mastiffs owned by Kubla Khan,
Okay.
whoever that was. Jaws is the most common name for a goldfish.
Since the movie though, or the book, I should say that was first a book.
Lanomia oblique is the world's deadliest caterpillar.
Okay, I have no comment on that.
Yeah, I don't either. The ostrich has 2 toes on each foot, which gives it greater speed. I
So
would think
if
the
I
more
cut off a
toes you
couple toes here, I could be faster.
if you cut off a snail's eye, it
Oh,
will
geez.
grow a new one.
Got dark again.
I know I really should read these first. Let's
That's
see.
like, if you torture and cut off eyes of a snail,
This is not a good one either.
yeah, she's proofreading them now.
I am. In 2003, Dr. Roger Mugford invented the wagometer, a device that claims to interpret a dog's exact mood by measuring the wag of its tail. I don't think it was very popular because we would have heard more about the wagometer. They would have been selling it on Amazon for the low price of $19.99, and you could
Free
get it tomorrow
free
between
shipping.
5 and 10.
Free shipping.
A skunk will not bite and throw its scent at the same time.
Wow.
Deer can't eat hay.
Okay.
An elephant can smell water up to 3 miles away. I remember reading that one time. That's amazing.
Yeah. They need the water to take a shower.
Goats and sheep are seasonal breeders.
Well, yeah.
Oh, they got to get in the right mood in the right season. Reindeer milk has more fat than cow milk. Don't get any ideas, people.
Right.
George Washington's teeth were made of elephant ivory and walrus's tusks.
Is that real? Because I heard a whole bunch of different.
I heard his teeth were made of wood.
Yeah.
He had wooden.
I heard he could not tell a lie, and he cut down some cherry tree, and
Was that George Washington?
yeah,
Oh. A moth has no stomach.
don't need one.
Guess so. A garden caterpillar has 248 muscles in its head. Somebody must have dissected that. In the very first bomb
What?
that the aliens dropped,
The aliens.
allies. The very first bomb that the Allies dropped on Berlin in World War II. Hidden elephants. That's another bad one.
What
Seriously.
the heck? We need to proofread the Fun
I
Facts
am. Okay,
Friday.
let's leave off on a good note. Most elephants weigh less than the tongue of a blue whale.
All right. Hey, thank you, Wendy, and great show today. Thank you, Senator Mary Kunesh and Patrice for stopping in. If we're still here, we are the 7th generation.
Free Leonard Peltier.
Have a good weekend, everyone.
Wajile,